Hi, this is Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked as one of the world's top 10 thought leaders in organizational culture and leadership. And welcome to the Nights of Transformation. Today we are going to be talking about the 5 levels or the 5 evolutions of organizational culture. Now, as you know, within an organizational culture, there are multiple perspectives. There are multiple agendas. There are even people, of course, that come from different cultures, and of course, people with different values, different brain processes, and all of these people need to try to figure out a way to work together to achieve organizational objectives. Of course, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult because, well, there are conflicts. There are people that don't get each other. There are issues with values or some perspectives of lack of values. So everybody's got their own idea of what's right, what's wrong, the right way to do things, the wrong way to do things, and the best way to essentially achieve success for themselves and for the organization. Now, this oftentimes gets in the way of actually doing it. So therefore, that creates a potentially negative culture. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, are the different levels. What are some of the factors that, well, basically create the lowest, least engaging culture where people are basically totally underachieving, not because they don't have the ability or the skill, but because they are not engaged within the culture itself. The culture does not support their success. So all of this is coming from one of my best-selling books, The Lesson or Culture Change Lessons from the Monkey King. So do make sure you go to Amazon and get one because there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Okay? So let's look at the number 1 culture. The lowest, the bottom of the barrel, the blame culture. Now, in this blame culture, there is very little trust. Okay, people act totally out of self-interest. They don't take many risks. There's not really much innovation. Everybody is pretty much paycheck driven. Okay, it's not efficient. And of course, there is a high level of fear. So, the blame culture is just that. People are blaming each other for all sorts of stuff. They don't want to take responsibility. Why? Well, because they're afraid. I mean, literally, they are afraid. Have you ever been in a situation where you know you have a better idea, but because you're kind of afraid that the management or your supervisor will probably not like it, or they'll think you're wrong, or maybe you'll make a mistake and actually be wrong, so you don't even try it, you don't even say anything, or maybe you think that your manager is wrong, but they don't really take feedback very well, and so you don't say anything? Well, these are classic signs of the blame culture. So, the blame culture is driven by management who pretty much thinks that their way is the right way, and they focus on what people do wrong and what they don't do. They don't focus on what the potential is. They don't focus on what you do right. Everything is fine. They might say, hey, that was a good job. But for the most part, the moment that you do one wrong thing, it kind of wipes out the things that you've done for the past 3 months. And that affects your engagement. It affects the trust you have to try new things. It affects the communication level where basically you don't want to say anything because, well, you might offend somebody and it's just not worth it. So the blame culture, the bottom of the barrel, is going to be the most inefficient and, well, it's not really a very fun place to work either. So let's go up one rung to the multi-directional culture. In here, there is little communication. It's kind of cliquish. There is lots of gossip. People criticize other departments. There is not very much cooperation, and there's not really a common vision. There might be a vision within the organization, but there's not a common vision that people really share. So if your organization has silos, and maybe there's not that much blame, except maybe within different departments. Oh my gosh, look at the finance department. They just don't get us. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at what the procurement department is doing. Man, marketing is overspent again. Okay, so these are all factors of the multi-directional culture, okay, where people are in their own departments and the other departments that don't understand them are bad. Okay, so that basically means that they're not really working together. They are kind of in these little groups, just like you were when you were in high school. You remember that? Well, now, if you are in a multi-directional culture, you are reliving your high school days with silos across different departments, even though, the people within your group are still good with each other. But as you go up the evolution ladder, the next level is the live and let live culture. Now, this is basically where people are complacent. I mean, it's like, you're okay. And it's where essentially you have mental stagnation. Why? Because it's okay. We're good. Well, we don't have to work too much. We've already doing what we need to do. It's working. So we don't need to be creative either. Okay, there is an average amount of cooperation. There is average communication. And the future vision is, well, it's there. It's okay. I mean, the company's making money. I'm getting my paycheck. I go to work. It's not exciting, but it could be worse. It's complacency. And then in this competitive era that we're in, well, that's not going to last very long, okay? Unless, of course, you're a government and, well, you're a government, okay? So that's not going to be very useful if you want to excel, if you want to do amazing things, if you want to go to the next level. It is just basically kind of existing. And if you are a for-profit corporation, that is going to be very short-lived. So the next level of organizational culture, the next evolution is the brand congruent culture. Now this culture is super cool because here the people actually believe in the product. I mean, it's like, whoa, this is super cool, man. Look at why I get to be a part of this. They feel good about the company. And cooperation is good. Why? Because they have this kind of common goal, okay, within the organization. And they actively solve problems. Why? Well, because they're proud of what they are doing, whatever the service or the product is, or even, just in general, the organization, what it represents. So the values of the organization and the people kind of click. So this level is the brand congruent culture. And finally, the highest level of organizational culture, the leadership enriched culture. Now, in this organizational culture, people are aligned with the organization. They feel good about the company. Leadership is at all levels. And the leaders, they don't just kind of tell you what to do and give you tasks and stuff. I mean, these people develop you as leaders within the organization. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can be the janitor and have a leadership role. And if you have an idea that is good, even if you're the janitor, people will listen to you. They won't dismiss you. Okay? So people are valued for their contribution, and leadership roles change according to competence. So maybe some new person comes in, and there's the CEO, and the CEO is really cool about this whole thing, and he says, wow, this is a great idea, but you seem to know more about this than I, so you take the lead, I'll listen, and I'll contribute. So the younger, new person can be the leader even when the CEO is in the room. Why? Because it's not about who has the position. It is about who can really make things happen. This also, of course, has lots of engagement. And, well, people like going to work. Why? Because It is a journey of personal development, personal excellence, personal achievement. And so these are the 5 levels of organizational culture. If you would like to find out what level your organizational culture is at, go to cultureevolution.com and take the test. It's free. So try it out, check it out, see what level you're at. And with that, this is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.